This is by far the best VWAP that I have used in my trading strategy. I've tried them all. I've made videos about them all. The handoff, the all-time high, lower day high day, all that good stuff. But the New York VWAP, which we're going to go over examples in these markups, is hands down my favorite one and the best one that gives me the most profits, which is why I try to catch most of my moves from there. And you'll see the power in it from this video. So the first trade is on a lower day VWAP break, but not really quite off the New York VWAP. It's not terrible. We definitely had a nice bearish open come in of lower highs, lower lows. We get a small pullback pretty close to that New York VWAP and a break of lower day VWAP. If you haven't seen my strategy, I teach it fully on ASFX TV. It would be a trigger on the break of lower day VWAP when sellers are stepping back in. Now, stop loss, I didn't go right at current structure. Again, this is right out of the course as well, so I'm giving you a little teaser on that. You don't want to give a stop loss right at current structure because that's the least safe and the most obvious, which is why it's least safe. You want to go with previous, which on my fault, that will be back here, right? So let's just pretend we have a stop loss back there inside the range. I didn't put it there. To me, that felt too high. If it's coming back that high, I don't want to be a seller. Way down here, if we're at the 19s, I don't want to still be short from 40. I mean, that just seems ridiculous to me that I'd rather just sell it back higher. But you'll see what I did in this trade here. So it pulls back right to my stop loss of opening range low. This black horizontal level, that's the first 15 minutes of the New York Open. I put it right on it like that. So you can see I just barely get tapped out, as it still does look bearish, right? Because it hasn't taken out these lower highs to the left, which is why you want your stop loss there. But I just figured that would be safe because I did give it room above this New York VWAP in black here, right? I gave it some space above, so if it really breaks above it, it's probably coming higher. Well, I just got tapped out. And then I get back in, not on this break of lower day VWAP, because, yeah, I don't know why exactly, honestly. I was on stream, I honestly forget. But anyways, it comes back to New York VWAP, comes back down a second time. I start trading the bounce off New York VWAP, still from the left here, making these lower highs. So I definitely still want to be a seller. I don't know why I'm stopped out of this short. I shouldn't be wrong yet. Let me get back in. Because the idea is not invalidated, right? That's the whole idea with the good stop loss at a true invalidation level, right? If we just go back here real quick, if this was my stop from the first trade, if we got up there, yeah, I probably don't want to be a seller. My short is invalidated. But getting tapped out here, my short isn't invalidated, so it's always annoying to get stopped out and then just see it fall right back in your direction because your trade idea is still alive. But that's why I give it that 2-trade rule. I wasn't wrong. I was maybe just early, a bad stop loss. My idea is still there. Let me go try it again. And if that's wrong, if I lose 2 times in the same direction on the same idea, all right, pack up shop. We're done with that thesis. It's not looking shorts anymore. Don't do too much damage. Lock yourself out. 0 for 2, we come back tomorrow because it shouldn't take me 2 or 3, 4 times to feel the market out and find that trending move. All right. So then you can see I don't even get this whole move. A nice pop for a new lower day. I just got out at the lower day to recover my loss. But another interesting point on this is to recover my loss because it is the hierarchy of trading. You don't want to have a big red day. You'd rather have a small red day, break even, small green, or big green. On this day, I took the small green, right? Like $10, break even, because my job is just to finish the day green. I was in the hole. Let me make it back. And now I'm break even, right? But if I hadn't taken this first loss from back here and I had still survived, then when this second trade wins, it really was my first trade, I'd be up on the day, right? So just a little mental lapse of a bad stop loss cost me a winning trade. Because yes, I made it back. I wasn't red, so that's good. But I should have been green or more green, right? So definitely take that note from me of not moving that stop loss to a level that just thinks looks good because you want to put it out the structure. It needs to be covering a structure point that makes sense. Now let's put on the lower day view up and make it look how it could have looked, right? Because there's other lessons within this. If we break the lower day view up there, stop loss at that structure like we're saying back here to give it all that space. Well, if it does work out like it does, it takes quite a bit of time to move that 1R or even 2R, right? So my best trades, even though ideally, don't take about an hour, right? If I measure it off, it doesn't take about an hour in drawdown and then finally get into profit and work itself out. Not that it can't or that I want it to be rushed, but ideally my best trades are ready to run right then and there because sellers are back in, right? This whole VWAP strategy is telling me that, hey, sellers are back in. We're looking to go continue that bearish trend. Well, I got in because the sellers were getting back in, but they did not have the strength right away to go continue that trend. So that's why this trade, the second one I took, that's when they were ready. It moved straight into profit, boom, when you're out in 10, 20 minutes. So the timing of it could have been, well, maybe this isn't the fullest retest to New York, right? But if you remember the days prior to this, this is at the end of May. We had just been seeing drifting days, lots and lots of strength that I don't know if we're going to get any more pullback than this. I don't want to just let this short bias go by without me because this looks like a good setup. Could it be better? I guess. But I just can't let it go, especially based off how we've been moving this week. So ideally, yeah, you survive all that, it comes back into profit. But even this one, if you take the break of lower day view up, like I'm saying, stop loss, not a current structure here if you want to call it that, at least back at that new structure that stopped me out earlier. That way you allow it to still build this lower high and you're not tagged out early and you don't miss this second move, right? The worst thing would be stopped out on this and then move in your favor, just like it did on my first trade, right? So always give it a stop loss that allows it to still build that bearish structure, because if this gets taken out and this gets taken out, then yeah, we're no longer making lower highs. Get out of the shorts. We're probably coming higher, right? So give it that space. And then one other thing I want to talk about is the first trade of the day that I missed was this beautiful kindergarten coloring book markup, right? So if you've seen the Futures 2.0 course that I teach on AceFX TV, this is the first entry of the day, right? I shorted it down here later on at the bottom, but this was the first idea right around the open 30 minutes in of not chasing this first break outside of open range low. There's no doubt that this is looking bearish, but I don't want to chase the first break outside open range low because one, they don't often run. Two, I'm selling at the lowest price of the day that we've currently been at, right? It goes like 2 points lower and then right back up. So now this yellow circle is where I want to see who wins, right? Was this just inducement down here that sellers weren't actually in and now buyers are just going to rip us higher? Then let me hold off on my shorts. But if sellers can win this battle around the New York VWAP and step back in, all right, I thought they were in. They're confirming that they're holding in. Now let me go short. But at the second break of open range low, the same price I just told you not to do it at earlier, but it's all about timing, right? This is the good price to sell it at. You have to wait about 10 minutes to give yourself a better idea of where this structure is going to form, because now you know you want your stop loss here, right? Just looking from left to right here, if I were to sell it at the bottom here, where do I want my stop? You know, I got this pin there because then I just get tapped out. So seeing that pullback come in, you now have a better idea of there's our pullback. Sellers did win it. Now let's go continue the trend, and I know where I want my stop loss to be. And same thing with timing wise, it's all profit, right? So even if this red price does pay and you sell it there with a big stop loss, yes, you will eventually win, but you have to sit through like 20 minutes of chop and then it moves in your favor. Again, this is all on Futures 2.0 here on AceFX TV. So if you want access to that, just use my name as the code and you'll get 50% off your first month. And you can even start a free trial and then tune into the streams where I take these strategies. Like I said, I traded them live on stream. I think it was this one here. There's the short. Turned into a loser, but then we made it back as the winner later on. So then looking over here, that's another markup that you could study. That's what the trade we went over here today. On the break, good stop loss. I think there's one more. Yeah, this is way later on in the afternoon at 1 p.m. But where is it bouncing off of? The New York VWAP, the same one that we just retested on those two shorts we marked off earlier. And even the third one we went over here at the open, right? This is all the same price action today. What level is it respecting? The New York VWAP. My favorite one, which is the line in the sand. If sellers are holding control, this is the price they want to move from, right? The next leg of trend happens from here, right? All this other move below here, could it keep on running? For sure. But we just never know how far it may want to run. Or if I can get it as close to this New York VWAP as possible, then you can see on this particular play, it does not go make a new low a day, right? So this is a bounce play, which again, I speak about in the course as a bounce play and a break play. This is just playing the bounce off New York VWAP, stop loss, not at current structure here, at the previous structure way back there, and you allow it to hold that New York, play around it. If sellers are going to hold control here, it should move from this price, and you could either scalp it down to the lower day VWAP, or you could try to scalp it down to as low as it goes, right? But that's the bounce play. Another one of that is followed by the break play, which is just the break of lower day VWAP afterwards. Now, it's not a bad trade, especially being that it just held that New York VWAP, which looks super clean. The one issue that I just am hesitant about at later in the afternoon, this is at 2 p.m., not that it can't move, there's still 2 hours left, but a clean trend today. I don't know if we're going to make another new low a day. I'm always hesitant about new lows a day the later and later it goes. Of course, they happen all the time, but there's just plenty of times where it just dries up, right? There's no more bullish sentiment, but there was no more bearish sentiment either. We kind of just chopped in the range for the last hour and a half, 2 hours. So I'm always hesitant to try to chase price on a lower day VWAP break because I just don't know if sellers have the strength to move us for a new lower day. In this case, they don't, and you would have lost if you're playing the break play. But the bounce play would be nice because you're getting as close to that VWAP, right? And one last thing we talked about, there's always that edge report of the initial bounce. We could turn that on real quick. The initial bounce hadn't even been broken yet on my first trade down here. And we know we're probably going to break out of one side. So the fact that this is still holding the New York and chopping around, any entry around that lower day break, this lower day break, would kind of feed you to think, yeah, this is eventually going to come lower because structure is just holding and we know we're not going to stay stuck in this range that will eventually get, there's the break to the downside because it doesn't often just stay in the range all day. We can go to edge fill here and you'll see this is the gap fill report. Let's go to the initial balance breakout. And when you look at that unfiltered, you can filter by size, by weekday, a whole bunch of different ones. I think this is on standard. And then once it loads here, you'll see that the single break is also part of the strategy, but the single break is the most likely to happen. And then it probably doesn't want a double break, which is why we force trades that have not broken one side yet. But let's see if this can load here. Wants to be a little bit slow, but that's all right. Let's go back here real quick while that loads up. Last thing, I promise you. But when you zoom it on out and it just looks super clear because the day is over, but you just zoom it out because there was some chopping here, right? We're saying this New York hold can't break the lower day VWAP right back up. Don't be chasing that long. When you remove all VWAPs except for this New York and just keep it simple, and this is on a 1 minute again, where would you want to be a buyer today? Right? Just realistically, it's still clearly lower highs, lower lows that don't get too wrapped up in the failed breaks of lower day VWAP. This is an important note. So if you made it this far in the video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, but I appreciate you tuning in. And you're going to get this little golden nugget here. On the break of a lower day VWAP, right? So many people tell me that they're concerned that this is going to be higher lows, right? And we can't break that lower day. It's building higher lows. I don't want to short it. Let me go long, actually. If the trend is bearish, then I'm only focused on the structure on top of me. AKA, I still want lower highs. As long as we're still making these lower highs, I'm fine. Keep on riding that direction because you can see these potential higher lows that you were scared about quickly turn into that lower low because the trend is bearish. There's still lower highs on top, right? There's always going to be small higher lows until there's not, until that next lower low comes in, right? So don't get too focused on that. Make sure you're always reading structure on top for your shorts and below for your longs, right? Does that make sense? But one last thing here, like I was saying, on the double break versus the single break, this is the initial balance report on Edgeful. In the last 6 months, just no filters, only 4 out of 126 of those days have we never broken out of the initial balance. So 3% of the time, does it just stay stuck in the initial balance range. So that's why let's turn this on again. When it hasn't taken out a side here, no breaks yet, which side seems more likely to break, given all this bearish structure we just said? The upside or the downside? Probably the downside. So I'm going to go try to get that first breakdown here because that's the direction that's pointing to structurally. And I know that's at least the clear target that we go to. I don't know how much further, but I know we'll probably get at least back for a new lower day given that report. So make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out top one if you need to count out the trades I took on there. So break even day. But hopefully you guys made money on this day, not getting stopped out too early. Always feel free to reach out if you need me. Any questions on the strategy, on the streams, all that good stuff. But I appreciate you tuning in. I'll see you guys on the charts tomorrow morning.